It's always so awesome to come and speak to a group of people. I speak to groups as small as 10 and as big as a few thousand people. But this is the first time in a long time that I've been able to look out onto a whole group of people who look like they care, which is really awesome. Right, because I work in a lot of corporations where people are like, all right, so just get me done, don't bore me, and we're looking forward to lunch. Hopefully, our journey in the next hour will take you to a different place that helps you to understand, I think, a little bit more about not only what you do, but why it is so incredibly critical to the lives that you touch. I'm in airports a lot. It's an interesting thing because how many of you are road warriors? Anybody in here a road warrior? Yeah, so I'm a road warrior. I'm on I just checked just for my outbound. I'm 149,000 miles for the year, which is that's not a good thing. That's not something you're proud of. My family thinks, well, I don't know what they think, but they don't know me any longer. They don't know my name. I'm in airplanes a lot, so this is right here, boom, that's what an airplane seat looks like, sorry. She's like, awesome, nice little took us there. So I'm in airplanes a lot, and therefore in the airports a lot, and I love going into airports for a variety of different reasons. I don't typically go into the like the red carpet lounge and that kind of thing, because everybody there is always on their best behavior, right? They're acting properly, and they're in their little Gulf whispers. I like going out where people are losing their minds, where right out there at the ticket gate, with the ticket agent, with the person just, I need to be on that flight, and I deserve to be upgraded, and blah 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 blah. And I'm just always stunned because I watch these people lose their heads, and then of course expect to get on to a packed flight, upgraded. And I think sometimes, and I'm not very cynical, but I do think sometimes, as a species, we are stupid and we will die. And I mean that with all the greatest love, but the fact is that we became the dominant species on the planet, and it's kind of stunning that we did, especially when you watch our behaviors sometimes. And in airports, it's like the petri dish of bad behavior, right? I mean, that's where everybody goes to lack emotional intelligence, if you will. And so I watch people, that's my job. I am a bad behavior voyeurist. I like to watch people in their most trying moments, because it says a lot about us, right? When we're up against the wall, when things aren't working, when they're falling apart, it says a lot about who we are and what our character is. I mean, we can all be good and charming when things are going our way, right? But what do we look like when we're up against the wall? And so as a species, I'm so interested to see that we have evolved into a place and become the dominant species on the planet. And if you look around, look at each other. I mean, you should just look at the person next to you. Go ahead, look at them. Yeah, be amazed. Be in awe of that person. Be in awe of that person. It's amazing that they're here. It's amazing that you're here, right? It really is. And by the way, one trick that I want to give to you, since you're going to be here for a couple of days, you might get a little bit tired, especially as the day wears on. I'm going to give you a little neuroscience trick that I learned in school that absolutely works every single time when you get a little tired, especially if you go to the Strip and stay a little too late, and then you come back and you're trying to partake in all of it. If you get a little bit tired, you start getting that little, that little mercy smile look on your face. Like, just do this. So look at the person next to you, because this will wake up your brain. Go ahead, look at the person next to you. Do it right now. Yep, yep. And when you're tired, look at them and then lick their face. And that'll wake you up so quick. No, I mean, it's stunning. It is absolutely remarkable how that works. So, yeah, if we were dogs, we would do it, and we wouldn't even mind. But the fact, our species is the dominant species on the planet. So now you're all awake. Dominant species on the planet. It is stunning when you think about it, because we're pretty fragile. This is Mike's high school picture, and thank you, Mike. And, we're weak. We're relatively weak when you look at us as a species. We shouldn't be here, because we are up against a whole heck of a lot when you think about all of our other kindred animal friends out there. The fact is in the animal kingdom, we're not fast. We aren't able to camouflage ourselves. We're not able to swim, not deep, not far, not fast. We aren't fierce, we're not strong, and we can't fly. So why are we here? How do we do this? How did we get to here? We got here because, of course, this right here, the 3-pound gelatinous mass between our ears that we ignore and abuse every single day. Every single day. And hopefully what we're learning more and more is not only how to take care of it, but also how to grow it. The cool thing about this 3-pound gelatinous mass is that we have learned about 90% of what we know about it in the last 20 years, which is just stunning. And we only have scratched the surface. A neuroscientist will study literally a square millimeter of the brain, and that will be their body of research for their entire life. Square millimeter of the brain. It's just crazy how much our brain does, and yet we leave a lot on the table because we're constantly pounding it and beating it, pounding it, beating it, pounding it, beating it, and we can't get to the place where we're actually using it to do what I think it does so exquisitely well, and that is to interact and interconnect with other human beings. So a couple of things about this 3-pound gelatinous mass, and many of you, of course, are already schooled in this, so you know this stuff, but here are the things that I think are really cool about it. First thing is that it's only 3 pounds of our body, so it takes about 3 pounds, so it's about 2% of our total body, but it takes up 25% of all of the energy in our body. It's an energy monger because it's doing so incredibly much. The other thing about it is that the part that is the human part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, we have the largest prefrontal cortex volume of any animal on the planet. Not the largest brain, the largest prefrontal cortex, the human brain volume. About 30% of the brain, a chimpanzee, so it's about 28. A chimpanzee is 17%. That's the next largest one. So it's an 11% difference that allows us to create every single thing you see in the material world. The clothes you're wearing, those cool pens with the little green wigs on them that you got from teletracking, right? Those are the coolest thing. You gotta whip that out. I thought it was like a nasal cleaner. I didn't know what that was at first. I got it, so you want mine? So everything we create in the material world is created because of that prefrontal cortex volume. Kind of crazy, right? And it's cool because we can continue to coax it on and to create amazing things, which of course is why you're here. I mean, teletracking is constantly looking at evolving and revolving and getting us to the place where you can actually do what the human brain is designed to do, and that is spend more time with each other. It's not spending more time in technology. That's what I love about teletracking's whole message and what they do. I have this kind of cringy feeling when I look at technology for technology's sake. This is technology for people's sake. And I think that is so critically important to keep your mind on that ball because it allows you to do what you do. And it allows you to be quintessentially human. So this brain of ours, this huge prefrontal cortex, chimpanzees, 17, ours about 28%. How many of you have dogs? Who has dogs? Okay, a lot of dogs here. Dogs have like 7% prefrontal cortex volume, you know. They have huge caudates, which is, you know, really dopamine rich, and every time they see you, it's right? It's like, hi. It's why, you know, you come out of the bathroom, they want to lick you. We have small caudates. If we had bigger caudates, you licking each other's faces would not be a problem. We don't have that big of caudates. How many of you have cats? All right, just a few. They have like a 0.005% prefrontal cortex volume. It's not that big. Cat lovers always like, you know, they're so snooty, they're so smart, they just don't want to come. They can't. They have no idea. Have no idea what you're saying. They have no clue what it is that you're putting out there. No clue. So that prefrontal cortex is cool because guess what? It grew so big that it folded in on itself. That's what we're looking at, is a folded in on itself kind of prefrontal cortex. So big that all births before modern medicine ended up in the death of the baby and or the mother. 50%. 50% before modern medicine. It's stunning, isn't it? Especially for those of you in OB. Just stunning. But modern medicine, of course, allowed us. And why? Because we couldn't fit down the birth canal. We literally don't fit down the birth canal. So then what are we born as? We are born as an unfinished human being at 9 months old. 9 months old. We can't run from our prey and we can't feed ourselves. The only species on the planet that can't do that. We are the most helpless species when we hit the air. We got the little waddling head, can't even look, can't focus. We hit the cave floor, and what did we do as cave people? We stood around and went, that thing's going to need some help. And indeed, that's what we did, is we created humanity. We created the thing that pulls us together. We created the thing that allowed us to survive. We created the thing that allowed us to look out for each other. But we have to look up, and that's the most critical thing. As we go through life, we get so buried in our technology, we get so buried in all of the things that we think is the sake of life that indeed we're wrong. You know, there's spine docs. Anybody in this spine business in here? A few of you. Spine docs now have a term for something that's happening in teenagers, 10, 11 years old as well. They call it text neck, because everybody's buried like this. It's a true thing. So take your finger, put it up in the air like this, put it on your chin, and then put your thumb, just rest it. That's about where your head should be, right? That's about where your head should be when you're looking up. That's worth about 10 to 20 pounds to your cervical spine. That's okay. Your cervical spine can take that all day. The moment that you look down just a little bit, it's about 45 pounds. And the moment that you are doing this, you're never going to do this again and not have like some trauma. The moment that you do this, it's worth about 60 pounds to the cervical spine. And if that's not enough to make you want to look up, think of all of the psychic woes. The fact is that your patients, the people who you care for, respond not because you're buried in your technology, but because you're buried in them. You're buried in their eyes, not into the technology. So I love that the technology is not for technology's sake, but for people's sake. And the idea is that the human brain grows and thrives and activates when we are connected together. It's how we survived as a species. And when we work together, the one thing we know is that there is no one genius on the planet who is smarter than an average group of people on the same topic. Groups of people, when we work together, we create amazing things. So alone, we should not be here, but together, we create really, really amazing things. Because the human kingdom, while we're not fast, we have created fast. We've created the fastest thing on the planet. We can camouflage ourselves. We can swim deeper, farther, faster than any beast in the planet. We are strong, we are fierce, and we can fly. And that's because we've got that 3-pound gelatinous mass. So our objectives for this small little session that we have today are to look at what connects us, what excites us, what switches on the brain, and to give you kind of a kickoff into the next few days as you interact with each other. And hopefully you run around looking up at each other as opposed to being buried in your stuff, yeah? All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the thriving brain and what does that look like. Next, we're going to look at the activated brain. And finally, we're going to finish off with the gift of the human brain. So let's talk about the thriving brain, all right? So the thriving brain. When we look at what causes the brain to thrive, and what I'm most interested in is what are the situations in life and at work that cause us to sit up and take notice? We have 5 things. You can take a little note on this. They're 5 C's. It's pretty easy. They don't rhyme or anything. But these are the 5 things that we know sociologically actually tamp down the threat response in the brain when they are present and actually increase the threat response when they are gone. Think about this in terms of your own work and your relationships, right? Because your brain goes with you wherever you go, right? I mean, it's one of those things. People are like, I have a work brain and I have a home brain. No, you don't. You have a brain, and it goes with you wherever. So with your little argument, it's following you. So here are the 5 C's. The first thing that allows the brain to feel a little bit of calmness is certainty. Isn't that true with your patients? They just want to know. They just want to know. Isn't that true with you? You want to know where they're going, what's next. You want to be able to have their history. You want to be able to understand what is next for them in their care, to be able to have some degree of certainty. Notice how when things are uncertain, you get a little bit whacked out, yeah? Don't you? The brain feels threatened when it doesn't feel certain, because think of it. When we came out of the caves, it was a very threatening environment. Everything could eat us. poison us. They were stronger, faster, fiercer than us, right? And so what did we do? We created architecture that literally, boom, boom, what's around the corner? And so we want certainty. We crave certainty. Certainty is a really, really very critical thing. How many of you are leaders inside of your organization? We have people who report to you, all right? So really important for you as leaders who have people who report to you, when things are changing, and they usually are, when things are changing and changing rapidly, we all know that when things are certain, you do what? You communicate. Yes, exactly. Over-communicate. You over-communicate. But don't forget to also communicate the things that will stay the same. When things are changing, we want an anchor of some things that are staying the same. We need to have that actually articulated to us. So the brain wants some degree of certainty in the world. So if you've ever moved your house, right? Have you ever moved and noticed how crazy making it is for you, even though you're going to a better home? It's crazy making because of all of the uncertainty. Where do I put the forks? Where are the glasses? Where do I sleep? Where are my things? Where is everything? I just want it all to come to a place that I know. Certainty. The brain craves it. The second thing is choice. The brain wants choice. How many of you have 4-year-olds in your life? You got 4-year-olds in your life. What do they say when you say, put your toys away, it's time to go to bed? No, you're not the boss of me, right? Kind of thing. And we all have 4-year-olds locked in our bodies somewhere as adults. At 4 years old, we become quintessentially sensitized to the whole idea about choice because the brain craves choice. If you give it an ultimatum, it will almost always push back. When you say to a patient, this is the only way, they'll say, but aren't there other ways? When we offer choice, we feel something that actually feels safe. So if you say to the 4-year-old, it's almost time to go to bed. You want to go to bed in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or now? You pick. 10. Great. Set the clock, do a little happy dance, and watch the little thing go off, become an angel. And try it. I'm going to get letters. Many of you are like, thank you, I got my child back. I've had people write to me, choice is huge. Choice is huge. We want to offer a choice. And by the way, choice theory, and when we look at choice theory, we know that if you offer one choice, the one you recommend, that's an ultimatum. We push back. If you offer 2, it's an advanced ultimatum. 3 is the perfect choice number in the brain. We don't know why, but the brain chunks in 3s. It literally chunks in 3s. If you offer 4, that's okay. 5 is the paradox of choice. We literally de-choose. So we want to offer 3 choices and make a recommendation from one of those. So just a little choice theory there. Choice is critical to the brain. If I have it, I feel safe. I feel like I have some of this right here, control. Control. Control is really critically important. I think teletracking, as much as I've been able to ascertain, I haven't been able to look into their systems because obviously it's not the body of work that I'm in. But it looks like what it is that you do is offer control. You get control of your world. You get control of your efficiencies. Everything's in one place. You can access information about patients, about facility, about what happens next, where things should be, so on and so forth. That's control. When you feel in control, it's like, whew, right? It literally calms the brain. And so control is a real critical piece for the brain. For our purposes outside of the whole idea of teletracking is control comes with a degree of mastery. A degree of mastery. So write this down. I'm going to have you just write this down. If we were in a workshop, I would have you think heavily about this. I'm going to have you think about this outside of here. And that is this. Write down the number 97. 97. And what I want you to think about, and it doesn't matter where you are in your career. We all have a 97. What do you do better than 97% of the people around you? Not all of them, but most of them. And when you think about exactly what that is, about how you take care of patients, or that you're really good at records, or that you're really good at some other operational aspect, what are you brilliant at? Because of all of your time, your experience, what's your 97? Your brain wants to know, and when you tell it, you begin to articulate your mastery, and the brain craves the whole idea of mastery. All right, so that's an idea of control. We want an idea of controlling something in our universe, and it's your 97. The next one is completion. How many of you have to-do lists? Yep. to-do list. And for those of you who don't, you are missing one of the greatest dopamine bumps of all time. I mean, they are huge. It's huge. I mean, what do you do? What do you do when you finish something on your to-do list? You cross it. Is there anyone who gets something done and just like, no, I'm just going to leave it there? I know it's done. I don't need to cross it off. No, no. As a matter of fact, some of you get to the end of the day and then do your to-do list, and then cross it all off, right? Because then it gives you that big dopamine bump. Literally, every time you complete something and you know that you do and you acknowledge that you do, you literally give yourself a dopamine bump. Some of the work that I do is with end-stage cancer patients, and I work with they and their families and the whole idea of stress mitigation. And one of the things that we do as they're going through treatments is we put up a huge calendar, one that they can literally, physically cross off to give them a dopamine bump. The fact is it works. It's why Jenny Craig works. It's why Weight Watchers works. It's why anything that literally has a check mark. The brain is a completion machine. If you have too many orders in your life that are open, too many things that are open, you literally have a really intensely distracted mind. Open orders become distractions. Your brain is looking to literally close those all off. That, again, you know, and I wasn't asked to get up here and promote teletracking, by the way, but it's so easy, it's coming out. The fact is it's a check mark. It's a check mark. Got it done. Boom, got it done. Your brain craves that. So why we have a tendency to like systems that allow us to go, toot, done, toot, done. It's a completion machine. All right? And then finally, context. The brain requires context, All right, so we're going to play a little game. Are you game to play a game? You're going to need a pen and a piece of paper. All right? Pen and piece of paper. Make sure you got that. Here's the rule of the game. If you are in the room and present, you must play. Okay? You can't decide, well, this is a stupid game. I'm not playing. Just play, right? Just go for it. It's a simple game. I'm going to spew off a bunch of numbers very rapidly. Your goal is to write down as many numbers that I say as you can. And I guarantee I will go so fast you will miss some. Guaranteed. Don't worry, your next door neighbor has missed some as well, just different ones. It all has a way of working out, right? One of the goals is to have one of the goals. What? One. Oh, you got one. Okay, yes, one of the goals. I guess that's one of the numbers. That's a snarky audience. One of the goals is to make sure that you have as many numbers as I have written down. The other one is that you also reply with other requests I make of you. So I'm going to ask you to write down other things as well. You will write those down along with numbers. Got to have them both. Do not give up. Do not put your pen down, right? Final thing is men are traditionally just a little bit better at this than women. Oh, wow. Wow, yeah, okay. So retract those claws, kitty. Every once in a while you get a little barracuda in the room, just like, bring it on. I don't even care what I'm going to win. I'm winning. Right? All right, so let's just see how it happens. It's going to go fast. Don't give up. Don't stop writing. Are you ready? Here we go. 43, 27, 88, 9,422, 85, 67, 5,744, 16, 27, 11, 16, 27, 3,955, 18, 15, 12, 65, 43. Write down the first color that comes to mind. 25, 49, 15, 27, 23, 17, 11, 66, 45, 95. Write down the first piece of furniture that comes to mind. 44, 19, 11, 60, 65, 57, 40, 78, 260, 5,422. Write down the first genius that comes to mind. 98, 94, 12, 16, 4. Draw a flying horse. Share the horse with your neighbor. Y'all got a horse? Everybody have a horse? Good horses? All right. Please stand up. Please stand up. You're going to stand and sit 3 times, so don't get too comfy. Please stand up. Lick the face of your neighbor. If you did not write anything down for color, please sit. Please sit if you did not write anything down for color. Really? Pretty compliant group. That's awesome. If you wrote down blue or red, please sit. Look. Green or yellow, please sit. Wow, so the vast majority of all people. What do you have, ma'am? Black. Who else has black? Go ahead, sit down, all those who wrote black. If you wrote white, go ahead and sit down. And we always have a few pinks. Pink? Yeah, go ahead and sit down if you wrote pink. What'd you write down? Oh, of course you did, Broncos, yay. Any other oranges? Yeah, go ahead and sit down. What is that about guys and always orange? I don't know what it is, yeah. And what do you have? Turquoise, all right. Purple? Purple, all right, great. So, and way in the back? Okay, great, go ahead and sit. Teal. More than 90% of all the brains, as you saw in here, will write down blue, green, red, yellow. There's a reason, please stand. Please stand. Even if you just sat, please stand again. Yeah, this burns calories. All right, because you're going to be sitting in here a long time. If you did not write anything down for furniture, please sit. If you wrote chair, please sit. Couch or sofa. Wow, almost everybody. Table or desk. Where are my beds? Bye-bye beds. What do you have, ma'am? Dresser. Any other dressers? Yep, go ahead and sit. Way in the back there, what do you have? A what? A bookcase, all right, great. Any other? No guys standing with a screwdriver? You have a screwdriver? A shelf, okay, great. All right, end table, and you have? Door, yeah, awesome piece of furniture. Fantastic. We're going to go furniture shopping. Let's get ourselves a door. No, I like that. That's awesome. All right, so the 90% will do the first four. All right, please stand one more time. If you did not write down anything for genius, please sit. If you wrote down Einstein, please sit. Oh, wow. If you wrote down yourself, please sit. Oh! Fantastic. All right, the rest of you can go ahead and sit. So genius comes up, or Einstein, what a great brand that is, comes up about 95% anywhere in the world you go, and then self is actually the second most frequent response I think it's cool, a little weird, but I think it's cool. So what just happened is about context, and I'm just going to run you through the whole idea of context. It's a critically important piece to the brain and a critically important piece to everything you do. Context, for me, is one of the captains of the ship. And context says this: the context in which we make requests of people predicts the outcome. The context in which we make requests predict the outcome. And in neuroscience, we look at both positive affect and negative affect, instead of positive traits or negative traits, dispositions or moods. Positive or negative. Think about when you asked your dad for the keys when you were at home, or asked for money, bad mood, buttered him up, didn't go ask for the money, did a favor, right? We changed the context for them. We didn't just barrel right in. And yet, somewhere along the way, we began to ignore context. Context means everything. It means everything the brain. The brain learns via context, not content. Content is all the numbers that you have. If you took a metabolic panel and put it in front of one of your patients and said, there's the content of who you are, of what we just got from your blood, and had them look at it, it would mean nothing. They need context. They need a picture. So when I say Paris, what do you think of? Eiffel Tower, Paris Hilton, food, romance, right? So Paris comes into the left brain, it hops over the corpus callosum, and in the right brain, a picture comes up. How many of you have never been to Paris? and including downtown Las Vegas, right? So Paris, if you've never been to Paris, your context comes from someone who has given it to you, something you've read, something you've heard. That's where your context came from. Context is so critical that if I'm up here and I'm your leader and I'm talking Paris, and I'm saying Paris, 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 that's the content of our talk, Paris, Paris. And you're thinking of the Eiffel Tower, romance, Paris Hilton, and I'm thinking of Champs-Élysées. We now have conflict. So people need to understand what is happening in their world. I was on the airplane yesterday coming here to Las Vegas. We sat on the airplane for an hour without them making an announcement about why we were sitting there. And why we were sitting there was because we didn't have our crew. And that's fine, just give us context. Otherwise, people get a little crazy. Same thing with your patients. We need context. We just constantly need context. Context is the captain of the ship. Got it? All right, so if you do these 5 things are crazy in terms of what they create for the brain and safety. I'm going to add one 6th one, and this last 6th one is really critical. I would put consistency. So we're going to play a little game, another little game. I'm big into little games. What you're going to do is pair up. A pair is how many? 2, so no 3s. And every once in a while you have somebody sitting alone, like you have a buddy? Yeah. Who's your pair? It's just me. All right, that's a different floor. So you need to find a buddy. All right, in your aisle. If you're the odd person out, stand up and go find somebody else who's standing and go stand with them. You need a pair up. Everybody pair up. All right, you all got your buds? Everybody have a pair? If you're standing and you see another person standing, just go out in the aisle with them and stand there with them. There you go. All right, here we go. We're going to play a game. It's an add-on game. You're going to do what I tell you to do until I tell you to stop doing it. It's thing 1 and 2, thing 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4. When I was talking to Chris before coming here, he's like, teletracking. These are people who might not know each other. Please don't make them touch. But I'm gonna. So it won't be horrible. Don't worry. You won't have to massage each other. You're going to do what I tell you to do. Add things on, non-talking unless I tell you to talk. Okay? First thing, look your partner directly in the eyes. Keep looking at them. Do not look at me. Keep looking at them. I know it's awkward. Keep looking at them in their eyes. Keep looking. As you're looking at your partner, reach across and shake their hand. Look, shake, keep shaking, keep looking. As you're shaking and you're looking, now pat them on the other shoulder with your hand, other hand. Shake, look, pat, shake, look, pat, shake, look, pat. As you are shaking and you're looking and you're patting, put a big smile on your face like you're so happy to see them. Shake, look, pat, smile, shake, look, pat, smile, shake, look, pat, smile. As you're shaking and you're looking and you're patting and you're smiling, look at them with that big smile on your face and say to them, I don't like you very much. All right. All right. Cool. You can stop. You guys can stop. 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 Throw water on them. Okay, good. Holy cow, some of you are touch deprived. All right. So you're saying to yourself, why did we do that silly little exercise? And first off, it's fun for me to watch. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And it's a great metaphor. It's a great metaphor for this whole little piece right here. I don't like you very much is not a very nice thing to say, but we're all going, right? And we bust out laughing, we giggle laugh. So our occipital lobes, the vision cortex of our brain is enormous resources. It takes about 100 million operations for you to watch me per minute up here. It's crazy. Vision is so cool, so crazy. And here's the thing. It's true of all of us. Our visual cortex is enormous, and we have a lot of resource that goes there. And your patients and people, they're not listening to you. They're watching you. They're watching you. And if what you do and what you say are incongruent, you lose credibility and power. And if what you say and what you do come together, that's when you change lives. That's when you change lives. That congruency, that consistency is what we look for. The brain is a pattern machine. It wants to see patterns and wants to see patterns of your consistency, that what you do and what you say come together. And when they're like off, like, yeah, I like you, not, right? We sense it, we understand it, we know it. You touch people's lives, you don't touch them in any other way than through your consistent caring. That's how we touch lives. And so those are the pieces that literally create the thriving brain. If we can pay attention to those six things, we've got some thriving. The next thing that I want to quickly go through is the activated brain. And the activated brain is a very interesting thing. So if you take your left finger, put it in the air, and then put it under the orbital socket of your left eye. If you have glasses on, you have to get in under there. Do you feel a little notch? You should feel a little notch. If you don't feel a little notch, you need to go and see someone. You got your little notch now. If you took your pen, the one with the little green one, and poked it in there, it would hurt. So don't do that. It would hurt a lot. But what you would be touching is the medial orbital frontal cortex, particularly on the left side. And the reason we're interested in neuroscience is because it is the seat of what we believe to be motivation, what we call in neuroscience activation. What this activates, the medial orbital frontal cortex, just right behind that side, particularly the left side, we literally have an activation of dopamine. We have an activation of the reward center that says go. It's your go button. It's your go button. And by the way, I tell people this and I see them running around all day going. It doesn't go if you push it. It goes because you've done certain things. On the right side, you have this right here. Same thing, except it does exactly opposite. It's the no button. It's the one that said this morning when your alarm went off for you to go work out, you went, no. I think sleep's probably better at this point in time. That's the no button. It keeps you on the couch. This is the go button, keeps you going. The downside of the go button, it's also implicated in addiction, right? Because it's the go button. Go, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. The downside of the no button is it keeps you on the couch, but the downside of the upside of the no button, it says, nope, don't put in another quarter in that slot machine. Don't go spend that $10 extra. Don't go spend that, right? So the no-go button, it's the dance between the two that give us our morals, values, ethics, and beliefs, those two things right there. But we're really interested in the activated brain. How do we activate the medial orbital frontal cortex from the positive side? How do we do it? How many of you have things in your life that you have to do right now? Think about what you have to do that you don't want to do, but you have to be the one to do them. Right? We all have that. If you don't, your life's too tidy. We all have something, right? Mine is my garage. And many of you will have like files you have to clean out, you have emails you have to get done, proposals you have to get done, some big project you have to work on. You have to do it. You don't want to do it, but you got to be the one to do it, right? And so when I walk into my garage, I'm from Colorado, and my garage fills up with all of the stuff I put in there from my backyard over the winter. It all piles up and fills up, and somehow over the winter it mates, and it grows, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And every year it's just more messy. And I walk in there, and I always am so dejected by it, especially during the springtime when I have to be the one to clear it out and put it all in the backyard. And so when I walk in there, every time I walk in and I get into my car and I see this, I'm like, bleh. And I have a little cortisol bunch, little stressor hormone bump. And I know that the stressor hormone over time will literally create a pretty bad situation for my brain in terms of shrinking my brain. The fact is I want a dopamine bump. I want to be able to give myself a check mark. Remember we talked about the check mark? Well, all we have to do with the brain to get a check mark is to start small, but start now. Literally, start small, but start now. Not wait. Not look at the whole, I'm not losing 50 pounds tomorrow. I'm just going to start small, but start now. I'm going to walk into my garage, and what do I need to do in order to get my dopamine bump? Tell me what I need to do. Just move one thing. Go and I take it. I'm moving one thing. Boom. And before you know it, my whole garage is clean. Have you ever gone through where you just started to clean out a little bit? Now your whole office is like, or all your files. Now I'm knocking on my next door neighbor's doors going, do you have a garage? Because I'm in the garage cleaning mode. I'm really good at this, right? It's that dopamine bump that you get. And so what we want to do is we want to activate our brain. We want to literally create activation. Dopamine completion, starting small but starting now, is one of the ways to do it. I'm going to give to you how we activate trust, since this is what it is that you kind of peddle in, is the whole idea of trust and caring. Caring feels like you trust me. So right here, what you're looking into is the back of the brain through an fMRI. You're probably familiar with that. And we're looking at the amygdala, which are your chief relevance detecting sensors. They put danger on top, positive things on the bottom. They pay attention to danger first. We have 7 times more architecture for paying attention to threats and danger than we do for reward. We're very sensitive at what is wrong, not very good at what is right. So we actually have to force ourselves into positivity oftentimes. We're very, very sensitive to all of the things that could go wrong in the environment. When we meet someone for the first time, when you walked into this conference yesterday, and you went down and you had the cheese and you hung out and you met people and you walk up, you see that one person and go, hi, I'm Scott. Your amygdala went and flew open. Slight little threat, like, who are you? How do you fit? Where are you from? Did your people pay for you to be here? Right? Kind of thing. And so it's kind of that sorting that goes out. Then if you look over on the right side, you see the amygdala flying way on. That's what it feels like when you walk into a group of people who you don't know. Have you ever walked into a party full of people you don't know? Yeah. What happens? You're like, bar. Where's the bar? I'm going to go hang out with other people who don't know each other and go to the bar, yes? And so what happens when we have that unsafe brain, when we have threat, we narrow our behaviors. We aren't as forthcoming. We're very polite, right? We're very, very polite when we're just meeting each other, but we're not very forthcoming, and we actually don't take risks with each other. Well, enter oxytocin. You, of course, have heard of oxytocin. Oxytocin is higher baseline in women than it is in men. And when we have oxytocin boosted up, women, of course, your oxytocin goes up in incredible rates at birth, during labor, to allow the pelvic joints to open up and for lactation. Baby's brain is awash in oxytocin. Within 14 hours and up to 3 days, the baby develops one of the thickest neural pathways it does from oxytocin, and that's the neural pathway that allows it to recognize the scent of its mother, the sound of her voice, and the outline of her face. Within like 14 hours. I mean, it's just, you know, I think by the time we're 21, we recognize our father. I mean, it's a lot longer. Takes a little bit more time, but that's oxytocin for you. But oxytocin is also incredibly important, and it's, what you peddle in. It's incredibly important to the bonding experience and for that trust experience. And Paul Zak, a neuroeconomist out of the University of Pennsylvania, took it, put it in nasal spray, sprayed it up people's noses, and basically wiped out all threat in the brain, just about every single ounce of threat in the brain. And so you have to peddle that without, of course, spraying it into people's noses. So you're saying, where do I buy me some of that? And where you buy it is at veralabs.com. Liquid Trust, $39.99. You can get this little bottle of oxytocin spray. For $4.99, you can get it with pheromones, so you can be sexy and trusting. Some of you are writing this down. You'll find it. You will find it, but it doesn't have any oxytocin in it. It may be a molecule of it. Not enough, because of course you don't want people going into spontaneous labor. And hey, whoa, I'm having a baby. Who knew? Didn't know. And can you imagine going up and going, want to buy my car? It wasn't even, yeah, sure, right? So we have to create oxytocin, and how we create oxytocin, how we activate this piece of our brain are these things. These are the bonding activities. This is what you do that create oxytocin with the people in your life. Laughter. When you giggle with your patients, when you giggle with their families, when you have a light moment. I know that maybe what they're in is maybe not so light, but a light moment connects you to them. Oxytocin is a bonder. Laughter is a quick bonder. The next one is loving, liking, or familiarity. Do you know them outside of their charts? Do you know what they're into, what they did before they got sick, of course? You know all this. But just to draw a bead on it, that's literally, you're creating a bond. Be purposeful about it. Be purposeful about it. You have those patients that you're just like, wow, if you weren't my patient, you would be my friend, kind of thing, right? Amazing what happens when we start to interact with people, when we look up out of our charting and look up and see what's sitting across from us. Loving, liking, and familiarity makes us bond. The next one is collaboration. When you interact with your docs and you interact with other people and other technicians, and it's all around this one person, and it feels together, kind of operationally all pulled together from one bead, from one space, we love witnessing that whole pulling together of everything. We love that. That collaboration is critically important. We know group rituals. Group rituals are really great. So if you do that at work, you have funny Fridays or thick Thursdays or wet Wednesdays or tired Tuesdays or moody Mondays. I don't know what they are, but if you have rituals at work, do you have rituals? Anybody have rituals at work? You go through rituals. You create rituals amongst yourselves, because those rituals create that bonding, that collaboration that allow you to work with each other. So it's not just working with your patients, it's working with each other as well. And then finally, generosity and benevolence. Generosity and benevolence. What you do, the vast majority, what you do would be called generosity and benevolence, but it's your job. Generosity and benevolence is about the things that you do that you don't have to do, but you do them anyway. And that's for each other. And it's for your patients. It's that story that Mike told. What an amazing story going in and afterwards. And amazing and a sad story at the same time, right? That this person felt like they had to clock off just to go hold this person's hand. But that's what creates that oxytocin. So this is how we activate our brain. The next thing that we activate our brain, and the next neurohormone is norepinephrine. It gives us focus. And where we get focus from, and I'm obviously just racing through these because of time, so get the book. Because of time, is interest. When we're interested, we become more alert. We become more interesting. Interested people are interesting. What are you interested in outside of what you do in your family? What are you interested in, just you yourself? I love this saying that attention grows where interest goes. You become interested when your attention literally follows the things that create a big pop for you. I love the question when somebody says, not where are you from, but tell me what you're interested in. What do you do outside of here? What do you do outside of your job? Really important. Novelty is also an activator of the brain. People ask me what grows the brain. The single quickest, fastest thing that will grow your brain is physical exercise. Physical exercise. Some kind of faster than a walk, 20 minutes per day. Just faster than a little walk, 20 minutes per day. We know it leads to both neurogenesis and neuroplasticity, but we also know novelty, doing something you've never done before. And doing it maybe once or twice a year. Play the clarinet, go learn to dance, go learn to cook, learn a new language, right? Learn a new technology. Learn something that literally causes the brain to grow. And then finally, the dopamine, which we talked about, it's literally the completion. It literally gives us a sense of pleasure to achieve goals and hit big achievements, milestones, winning and mastery. How many of you were sent here as a gift from your company, kind of as a reward? Yeah, isn't that cool? Do you feel, is that pretty rewarding? Were you excited about that? Yeah, exactly. And so it literally hits on a lot of bumps right there. We activate each other when we go to this. So I wanted to show you what causes the thriving brain, and that what causes the brain that literally activates, that feels the intensity that we want to feel. I mean, is there anyone in here who would like less stamina? Anyone? No? Yeah. I mean, some people like, well, just go, go, go all the time. I need to slow down. No, we all want more stamina when we want it. And these things, if you take a picture of the slide and just make it something that you look at every single day and ask, are you introducing some of these bits and pieces in your life every single day? Yeah? And so finally, I want to cap it off with this, and that is the gift of the human brain, which is you, right? It's what you do. The gift of the human brain. The gift of the human brain it's so amazing because we do get buried into the complexity of life, right? Where we get buried and we're not looking up and we're just go, 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 and I need to get my stuff together and everything's crazy and we sometimes forget just to go, whew, isn't it amazing that you're sitting here? Isn't it amazing that we are sitting here? I think it's pretty amazing, right? Pretty cool. This guy right here taught me all about that. That's my dad. His name is Jim Halford. He died about 3 years ago. And that's about as smiley as he ever got right there. That picture, yeah, I look at that picture and I see he must have had some kind of thing going on. I don't know what it was, because he just never smiled. This was not a smiley man. He's about 5'8", about that big, just a little guy kind of thing. 5 boys, 2 girls. That's how many people I grew up with. And so 7 kids, 5 boys. My father, engineer. Anybody an engineer in here or live with one? Yeah, old school engineer. You know what they're like, especially this one. Didn't talk. No talking. No talk. Right? No emoting, no talking. Just look. 5 boys, 2 girls. We have no idea if he knew our names. Because that's a talking activity, right? There's just no way that he's going to ever say anything. And he didn't hug us a lot. He was, if at all, I just don't remember him hugging us. It wasn't that, he was not emotionally demonstrative at all. And my mom would come up behind him and she'd, and kiss all over his little bald head. And and he's like, just get crazy. And she'd go, honey, would it kill you to say I love you? And he was the one who invented that. And of course, we didn't actually know if he did, because he only spoke in word bubbles, and because he didn't actually say real words. And the word bubble would come over his head when she would say, would it kill you to say I love you? And he would say, I think when we got married, I told you I love you, and I'll let you know if I change my mind. And right. That was my father, Mr. Emotionally Constipated Daddy. Yeah. And so all of our lives, all 7 of us, spent our entire growing up existence trying to get a rise out of this man. And it was so hard. It was just so difficult, because even keeled that does not do justice to the non-existence of emotion in this man. Dad, smile. I am. Okay, tell your face. And so we'd get him down and tickle him, but he wasn't ticklish. That didn't work. We would, boo, scare him, but he had no startle response. We'd go to jail. He didn't care. And so we could not rattle this man. So when I was in 11th grade, I was 17 years old. There were 4 of us left at home, 3 off to college. We decided to play a trick on my father. And you would not think this is a trick, but it was a trick. And the trick was that we decided to nominate him for Father of the Year. My dad. If you knew my dad, you would know how wrong that was to nominate him for Father. So we decided to do it. And so we wrote a letter to the Littleton Independent, where I grew up, Littleton, Colorado. And the letter went something like this. Dear Littleton Independent, we nominate our father, Jim Halford, for Father of the Year. Something you should know about him before you make your choice is that he is unlike any other Father of the Year you have chosen in the past. Unlike your other Fathers of the Year, he is not famous and he's not rich. Even though he sends rockets to the moon and Mars, he never finished college. So while he's a design engineer on those, he doesn't make as much as his colleagues do because he didn't finish school. He doesn't travel for his job to big meetings. He doesn't get involved in politics. He doesn't get involved with the community. He doesn't volunteer. We don't think he even likes volunteers. But what he does do is every single weekend, he is wherever any one of his considerable brood happen to be. And there are many of us. He's at soccer and hockey and tennis and plays. Wherever we are, that's where he is. Every night at 5 o'clock, he's in his chair with his newspaper and a beer. Every night, we have dinner with our father and our mother. Every single night. Every vacation our parents have ever been on in their adult life have been with their children. We go camping. My father heads it up. So while our Father is not rich and famous and involved out there. He's involved in here. He is always there. And so we believe that is a Father of the Year. And he won. The guy won. We did not. Oh, my God. I know. Yeah, he won. Good letter, because wait till they meet him. And so we sat around and went, who's going to tell him? So we decided to let the reporter tell him. And in our infinite wisdom. So the night comes and we call up the reporter, tell him, do not come before 5:15. Because that man needs to put one back before he meets you. Guarantee. He's not going to like this. He's not going to like you. You're going to wonder why you gave this award to him. Just want to warn you, we're shocked too. And so the night comes. Nobody's getting the door. My father doesn't answer doors, right? That's a social activity. No, he doesn't answer. He's got a wife and children for that. He's not going to answer the door. Somebody get the dang door. So I go up, I get the door. I say, Dad, it's for you. And you could just see the shock on my father's face because nobody ever calls on my father. Nobody ever calls on my father. So he's a little bit apprehensive, and he goes to the door, and he meets this reporter. And this reporter begins his litany of wrong lines. He says, Mr. Halford, my name is Garrett Ray, and I'm a reporter from the Littleton Independent, my dad. You could just see he was thinking that one of his college-age sons was in prison somewhere, right? Under a car somewhere. He was just, Mr. Halford, you've been nominated for and chosen as this year's Father of the Year. Is that all? And we're like, oh my God, they're going to take it away. They're taking it away, I swear. And so the guy tries to wrestle himself, and my dad doesn't want to talk to him. I'm not doing an interview. You're going to do an interview. About what? About Father of the Year. I didn't nominate me. We're like, oh my God. So we got him in the house. There are the four of us and my mom, and we're sitting there, and my father just struggles. It's yes, no, I don't know. It's just an awful interview. He's not eloquent, he's not profound, he's not deep like these other well-spoken guys they've interviewed in the past. He's just, and the reporter's looking at me like, hey, you were right. I wonder if we could take it away. What my father doesn't know is that we have flown in my three oldest brothers and shoved them into the basement. And now they are in the dining room in earshot, but not in eyeshot of this conversation. And when they came up, my father couldn't see them, but he felt them. You could just see him feel them because he did what anyone would do when you feel that energy shift. He looked up. And then he hit his stride. And he did what none of us had ever heard him do before in our lives, ever. You know when somebody says to you, you know what I love about you? You know what's really cool about you? You know when they say that? Doesn't it just make your heart sing? Doesn't it just attach to you in ways that are amazing? When you see them and when they see you, that's what they're in essence saying. That's what my father did. He started at my oldest brother, Doug, then Mike, Kirk, Tammy, Scott, Meg, and Terry. And he literally gave us that hug for the first time in his words. He literally just wrapped his arms around us by describing us in ways we had never known he knew about us. We had no idea that he saw those things about us. You know what I love about Doug? You know what's cool about Mike? Kirk's so amazing. And he literally wrapped his arms around us with his words. It could have been a lot of things, my dad. He's a smart man. But what he chose was to tend to us. That's what you've chosen, is to tend And when you walk into a patient's room or you sit with a colleague, you say something that says, you know what I love about you? You know what's cool about you? It says you're looking up, you're seeing them, you're connecting to them. You know, that night, my father, he gave us two firsts. The one where we had no idea he was paying attention the way he paid attention. That night at the dinner table when everything was over and we were all finished, it was kind of like we opened up all the Christmas presents and everybody's like, wow, where's the next one, right, kind of thing. And it was kind of like good for us, but not for him because he wasn't saying anything. He was sitting there and he was hovered over his bowl of soup. I remember we had soup. And it got really quiet, and I looked over, we all looked over, and we saw something none of us had ever seen before. It was another first. And my father just wept. And I think he was touched. And I think I get touched when I reiterate this story every time. And hopefully you're touched, not by the story, but by the fact that we do touch. That while we have the intensity and the complexity all at our availability, it's not for that. It's so that we can touch. It's so we can look up and see what's sitting across from us and be in awe. I hope you are in awe of each other the rest of this conference and the rest of your days. I thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your time. Thank you. Thank you.